Hi people, welcome back to the Urban Live, and let's look at a very popular problem. I think it's very popular in Ghana as well, and I think worldwide. Today we are looking at the PUD, that's peptic ulcer disease. I'm sure you've heard about this before. Do you have questions on this? Before we begin, the comment section is always open, so you can send your comment, question, and your suggestions. Now let's review the real story behind peptic ulcer disease. Let's make it as easy as possible. I mean, it's mostly it. People see it to be complex, but we'll try and make it as basic as we can so that we can all get what we are trying to explain. So we are looking at if you've let me ask, have you ever had a burning sensation in your stomach, especially between meals or at night? You might have wondered what that could be. Could this be an ulcer? Let's see. We'll see about that today. We are going to cover what a peptic ulcer is, the causes, signs and symptoms, how to possibly treat it, and how to prevent it. So stick with me and let's go through everything. And I'm sure this episode is going to be very, very informative and is going to go a long way to help you. So let's look at the definition. What is peptic ulcer? Peptic ulcer is a sore or open wound that develops on the inner lining of your stomach or the upper part of your intestine, that's the duodenum. Think of it like this: you have your stomach, right? The stomach lining, and there's a sore in it. Let me make it There's a sore in the lining, yes. Let me make it simple. Let's say you fall, you fall. You see what happens when those is it called an abrasion or whatever happens. You see the openings that come whether on your limb, lower limb or upper limb, those things. The same thing. That's happening inside your stomach lining, your stomach wall. That's how the ulcer is. So it's basically a wound found in your intestine, the intestine lining. Yes, that is what we are talking about when we talk about peptic ulcer. Think of this like this: your stomach lining is protected by a mucus layer. So before the ulcer can happen, that means the layer at the location where the sore is disrupted or is I mean is spot. Let me put it that way for easy understanding. But how does this occur? The mucus in there is to protect the stomach from an acid, right? Gastric acid. So when there is excess of this acid, that burns the inner lining of the stomach, and this brings about the ulcer. So let's look at there are two types of the peptic ulcers. We have the gastric ulcers and the duodenal ulcers. Gastric ulcers, these forms inside, I repeat, the gastric ulcers form inside the stomach, and the duodenal ulcers form in the first part of the small intestine. Now we are looking at, let's look at what causes peptic ulcer. Peptic ulcer is caused by a bacteria, right? And this bacteria is known as Helicobacter pylori. People normally call it H. pylori because of the first word, Helicobacter. So it's known that the bacteria causing the stomach ulcer is known as Helicobacter pylori. And one of the biggest culprits of stomach problems is this same bacteria. These tiny bugs infect about 50% of the world's population. But here is the kicker: most people don't even know they have it because it doesn't always show or cause symptoms. However, in some unlucky people, H. pylori weakens the stomach's defense, making it more vulnerable to acid, leading to ulcers. One thing that causes this ulcer is also the overuse of painkillers. And there's a certain type of painkillers that we abuse. There's a group known as NSAIDs, 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 and the full Meaning of this acronym is non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. This is known as the NSAIDs, right? And this is a major cause of peptic ulcer disease. An example of an NSAID is ibuprofen, what people call brufen. It's a major cause of peptic ulcer. Though it's great for pain alleviation, but it has a very strong formation which causes abrasion and then tear in the stomach lining, and this increases the risk of ulcer. Right? People who regularly take these drugs, especially without food, are likely susceptible to ulcers. And then we have hyperacidity, excess stomach acid, also being a cause of a peptic ulcer disease. Some people naturally produce too much of this acid, which can erode the stomach lining. And hyperacidity can be triggered by one, smoking, excessive alcohol intake. The third one is stress. The fourth is spicy foods. And I repeat, hyperacidity, that's increased acid in the stomach, can be triggered by one, smoking, excessive intake of alcohol, stress, though not a direct cause but it worsens symptoms. The fourth one is spicy foods. Let's look at some signs and symptoms of peptic ulcer. We have burning stomach pain, usually between meals or at night, and is relieved by taking antacids. Antacids example is there. We have magacid, gastracid. There are so many types of them. Bloating and burping, also a sign. We have nausea and vomiting. Weight loss without trying. Dark or bloody stools is a very important indicator of peptic ulcer disease. And how are peptic ulcers diagnosed? Doctors can check H. pylori through the stool test, breath test, or blood test. And we have endoscopy. An endoscopy, a small camera, is inserted down your throat to look directly into your stomach. Through practice for let's say I think about 8 years, I've seen this before. I've seen endoscopy reports. I don't know if you have also seen it before. It's not so popular, but when we want to get some internal investigations, we recommend it. A little bit expensive. There's a tube, a small tube passed through your throat into your stomach that makes us see whatever is happening in there, and that's what we call the process is what we call the endoscopy. Right. And then we have the barium swallow test. And that one we use an X-ray. You drink a special liquid, and an X-ray machine will show if you have an ulcer. And this is not so common in Ghana, but it exists. And then now let's look at some common treatment, how we treat peptic ulcer. Peptic ulcer could be treated with medications. We have antibiotics, or let me say antibiotics, yes, could be used. We have proton pump inhibitors. These reduce stomach acid, and examples are omeprazole, pantoprazole, the zozol drugs. We have the H2 blockers. These also lower acid production. We have antacids. I've already mentioned some examples of it. Then we have the lifestyle changes, where you would need to stay away from NSAIDs, that's the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. You need to eat smaller but frequent meals, quit smoking, limit alcohol, manage stress. And can peptic ulcers be prevented? Well, yes. You wash your hands since H. pylori spreads through saliva, contaminated food, and then unhygienic practices. You limit NSAID use. You eat a healthy diet. Cut down alcohol and caffeine. And with all we've discussed, what are your final thoughts on this? I'm expecting to hear from you this time around in our comment section. Peptic ulcers could be very painful and dangerous, but they are treatable and then preventable. If you've ever had persistent stomach pain, don't ignore it. See your healthcare provider. And if you found this video to be helpful, subscribe to our channel, like our content, and share. Thanks once again. And until next time, I hope you follow whatever we've discussed today, and I'm going to use this information for a better and healthy lifestyle. Thanks once again.